You probably think you understand money. You use it every day. You earn it, spend it, worry about it, chase it. It feels like the most natural thing in the world, like it was always there, like it had to exist. But here is what nobody tells you. Money was not invented to make trade easier. That is a story, a very old, very convenient story. And once you see through it, you cannot unsee it. Let's go back, way back, before coins, before banks, before the number on your phone screen that tells you what you're worth this month. For tens of thousands of years, your ancestors did not use money. They shared, they gave, they remembered. If your neighbor killed a deer and gave you half, you did not hand him 3 shells and call it even. You owed him, not in a legal sense, in a human sense, a social sense, the kind of debt that weaves people together instead of separating them. Anthropologist David Graeber spent decades documenting this. In his landmark work, he found no evidence, none, of any society that operated on pure barter before money. The myth of the barter economy, he argued, was invented after the fact. It was a story economists told to make money seem inevitable, natural, neutral. It was none of those things. So if money was not invented to replace barter, what was it invented for? The earliest records of money are not market receipts. They are temple records, tax records, debt records. The first written financial documents in human history, discovered in ancient Mesopotamia, are not merchants haggling over grain. They are administrators recording what people owe the palace, what people owe the temple, what people owe the state. Money, in its earliest form, was a tool of accounting for power, not a tool of exchange between equals. Think about what that means. The first money did not emerge from the bottom up, from traders who got tired of carrying chickens. It was imposed from the top down, by rulers, by priests, by institutions that needed a way to measure, extract, and control the surplus produced by everyone beneath them. Historian Christine Desan of Harvard Law School traced this pattern across multiple ancient civilizations. Again and again, she found the same sequence. A ruler declares war or builds a monument. The ruler needs resources. The ruler issues tokens, coins, tallies, clay tablets, and demands those same tokens back as taxes. Suddenly, everyone in the kingdom needs money. Not because trade required it, because the state required it. You work, you produce, you pay. The token moves in a circle designed by someone else, and that circle is called an economy. And here is where it gets stranger. Here is the part that should stop you cold. When you're forced to acquire a token to pay your taxes, you're also forced to enter whatever system the token issuer controls. You have to sell your labor, your goods, your time to get the thing the ruler demands from you. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is documented history. Economist Michael Hudson has spent decades showing how ancient debt systems were specifically engineered to bind agricultural workers to elite landowners. The debt was not incidental. The debt was the mechanism. You were not borrowing. You were being captured. Now, fast forward. Move through the ancient world into the medieval period, into the age of colonial expansion, into the Industrial Revolution. The tools change, the logic does not. When European powers colonized Africa, one of their first moves was to impose a hut tax, a fee payable only in colonial currency, levied on every household. Suddenly, millions of people who had lived outside the money economy for generations were forced into it, not because they needed money to survive. They had survived without it for centuries. They were forced in because the tax made the currency necessary. And once the currency was necessary, the colonizers controlled the entry point. Your ancestors did not choose money. They were conscripted into it. And today, the architecture is more sophisticated. The coercion is softer, but the structure is the same. You need money to live not because nature demands it, but because the systems built around you demand it. Your housing,
your food, your healthcare, your movement, all of it priced, all of it locked behind a number that someone else controls the supply of. The Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the IMF, institutions that most people could not name the leadership of, making decisions that determine how much the number in your pocket is actually worth. Economist John Kenneth Galbraith once observed that the process by which banks create money is so simple that the mind is repelled. When a bank loans you money, it does not hand you money that someone else saved. It creates new money. It types a number into a ledger, and you spend the next 20 years of your life working to pay back something that did not exist before the moment you signed. Does that feel like a neutral system of exchange, or does it feel like something else? Here is what the research actually shows about how this affects you. Psychologist Caveline conducted a series of experiments on what simply thinking about money does to human behavior. Subjects primed with the concept of money became more self-sufficient, yes, but also less likely to help strangers, less likely to ask for help themselves, more physically isolated. They sat farther from other people. They worked longer before asking for assistance. Money, even as an abstract concept, individualized people. It dissolved the instinct to cooperate that kept your ancestors alive for 200,000 years. The tool did not just change what you could buy, it changed who you are when you think about it. And yet, you still use it. You have to. You were born into a world where the alternative was already foreclosed, where the land was already owned, where the commons was already enclosed, where every conceivable path to food and shelter runs through a price tag. You did not consent to this system, you inherited it. You were handed the game board mid-match and told the rules were natural law. But natural law does not require enforcement. Gravity does not require a tax collector. So what do you do with this? Knowing it does not free you from it. The rent is still due, the groceries still cost money, the hospital still wants payment. But something shifts when you understand what you're actually inside. You stop blaming yourself for struggling in a system that was not designed for your flourishing. You start seeing clearly who the system was designed to benefit, and you begin to notice the moments, small, daily, human moments where the logic of money has not yet reached, the favor given freely, the time offered without invoice, the meal shared without calculation. Those moments are not sentimental exceptions. They are the original operating system, the one that ran for 100,000 years before the first clay tablet told you what you owed the temple. Money did not free you to trade, it told you what you were worth, and it has been revising that number ever since, without asking you.